There's a psychological experiment where a group of men were placed into identical dating environments, the same settings, the same age ranges, the same social backgrounds, the same number of opportunities. The only thing that changed was how the women interacted with them. Some women focused on impressing, some focused on pleasing, some focused on being endlessly agreeable, some focused on understanding, some focused on emotional warmth, some focused on subtle distance, some focused on challenge. Over time, something unexpected happened. The men did not become most attached to the women who were the most physically attractive. They did not become most attached to the women who gave the most attention. And they did not become most attached to the women who tried the hardest. They became attached to the women who activated very specific psychological responses inside them. Their behavior began to change. They invested more time. They initiated more contact. They felt drawn back without fully understanding why. They found themselves thinking about those women during unrelated moments. They experienced a quiet emotional pull, not because of romance, not because of chemistry, but because something inside their psychology had been activated. And what this experiment quietly reveals challenges almost everything people are taught about what men want. Because attraction is not where bonding begins. Bonding begins where the nervous system starts to associate a person with an internal emotional experience. Modern dating culture focuses heavily on surface signals, looks, status, confidence, texting frequency, sexual tension. These things can spark interest, they can open attention, they can create desire. But interest and attachment are not the same process in the brain. Attraction is visual and immediate. Attachment is psychological and cumulative. Attraction happens when someone enters perception. Attachment forms when someone begins to shape emotional experience. And this distinction explains why many dating connections start intensely but quietly dissolved. The attraction was real, but the deeper bonding mechanisms were never fully engaged. Men often don't lose interest because something went wrong. They lose interest because nothing neurological ever truly began. Psychology and behavioral research consistently show that men form deeper bonds not through what they receive, but through what they experience themselves becoming. The male nervous system is highly responsive to identity-linked emotion, feelings of competence, feelings of emotional movement, feelings of internal engagement, feelings of direction, feelings of being psychologically activated. When these systems turn on, attraction begins shifting into attachment. A man becomes more bonded when he feels emotionally involved, not just emotionally pleased. When he feels internally stimulated, not just externally entertained. When he experiences himself as participating in something meaningful, not just consuming something enjoyable. This is why validation alone rarely creates deep attachment. It feels good, but it does not require psychological engagement. It stabilizes emotion, but it does not activate identity. This is also why mystery alone rarely creates stability. It excites attention, but it does not create emotional grounding. Attachment begins when a man's brain links a woman to inner emotional processes: curiosity, emotional contrast, subtle tension, relief, contribution, understanding, self-expression, regulation, self-reflection. These internal states stimulate deeper neural networks than attraction alone. They activate limbic processing, memory encoding, and motivational circuits together. The brain does not bond to what is merely pleasant. It bonds to what moves it. This is why men often feel more connected after effort than after ease, more bonded after challenge than after indulgence, more invested after emotional navigation than after surface harmony. The attachment is not only to the person, it is to the internal emotional world that forms around that person. Over time, the nervous system starts associating that woman with internal meaning. And meaning is what the brain protects. This is where dating psychology often becomes misunderstood. Many people try to hold attention through performance, through appearance, through availability, through constant reassurance. But the brain does not deepen attachment through supply. It deepens attachment through experience. And experience is built from emotional participation, not presentation. When these internal systems are not activated, male interest usually fades in a very specific way. Not suddenly, not dramatically, gradually. Communication becomes lighter. Initiation becomes inconsistent. Emotional presence becomes thinner. Investment reduces. Not because something obvious went wrong, but because the nervous system never constructed strong emotional circuitry around the connection. From the inside, it often feels confusing. There was chemistry. There were good conversations, there was attraction, there were dates, there was affection. But without emotional participation, attraction remains a surface process. And surface processes rarely sustain long-term attention. The male brain does not remain bonded to what it merely enjoys, it bonds to what it psychologically inhabits. This also explains why men often report stronger attachment after periods of effort, uncertainty, emotional growth, or challenge. Not because struggle is attractive, but because internal engagement deepens neural encoding. The brain marks what requires emotional navigation. The brain records what shapes identity. The brain protects what feels meaningful. And meaning forms when a person becomes associated with inner emotional movement. So here is a question worth sitting with. When a man is with you, what does he emotionally experience himself doing? Is he only receiving or is he emotionally participating? Is he only enjoying or is he internally engaging? Is he simply attracted or is something inside him slowly forming? This question is not about changing who you are. It is about understanding what psychological environment forms around you. Because attachment is not built in what is said. It is built in what is emotionally lived. Understanding the psychology of what men want does not turn dating into a strategy. It turns it into an environment. Attraction opens attention. But psychological experience determines whether attention settles or drifts. The nervous system attaches to where it feels meaning forming, where emotional movement occurs, where inner states shift, where identity feels involved. This is why healthy attachment often grows quietly. It does not always feel dramatic. It feels internally grounding, mentally occupying, emotionally familiar, gradually important. Men rarely attach to perfection. They attach to emotional participation. They attach where their inner world is engaged. And this is something no performance can replace. It is not about trying harder, it is about understanding deeper. Because once the psychology is clear, dating stops feeling like confusion and starts feeling like perception. You begin to notice what activates, what stabilizes, what engages, what flattens, what deepens, what fades. And that clarity changes how you move, choose, and connect. If this psychology-based perspective helped you see dating in a clearer way, consider subscribing to Neuro Plain. This channel explores how the brain shapes attraction, attachment, emotion, and human behavior. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think most people misunderstand about what men want? Share your perspective in the comments. Someone reading your words may recognize something they've never been able to explain, because understanding the mind doesn't just change relationships, it changes how we see ourselves inside them.